Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger, coming at you this week with some fresh new content. I apologize that the last couple weeks have been a re-airing, although I am a huge fan of the episode that did re-air. I talked to my buddy Colby, who recently bought a 1981 or 82? I forget, I'm blanking out. He bought a new DeLorean. He bought an old DeLorean. There's no such thing, technically, as a new DeLorean yet, and that's arguable, the DeLorean EV. Anyways, we'll talk about that at a separate time. Colby and I talked about that stuff at length in our last broadcast. You can hear the full version of it. It's over an hour and a half. By downloading the Geek Therapy Radio podcast. You can get the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in any of your favorite podcast apps. Of course, right here at the iHeartRadio app. You can get it in Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all over the place. Just type in Geek Therapy Radio. Look for the red, white, and black color scheme. That's how you know you've got me. You can also visit geektherapyradio.com to get in direct contact with me. I'll just mention again that getting in contact with me, going to geektherapyradio.com and just submitting a contact, you don't get any spam emails. It's not signing you up for any sort of emailing lists. I know that I've gotten advice and encouragement from others that I should really, ramp up the marketing side of my podcast and everything. But you know what? Gosh, I guess I just don't have that killer instinct to bombard people with constant advertisements and constant content updates and constant, mailing lists and like weekly mailing letters. And I just don't want to bug y'all too much. So I just offer up ways how you can get in touch with me. I offer up ways on how you can download my podcast. I update you in ways that you can find out new content, but I'm not going to bombard you with anything. So all that to say, again, if you contact me through geektherapyradio.com, it doesn't sign you up for jack squat. I just get an email reminder saying, hey, someone contacted you through the website. You can email me directly, johnny@geektherapyradio.com, JOHNNY @geektherapyradio.com. And as for plugs, that's it right out of the gate, because I wanted to talk, at least in this first segment, and it might boil over to the next segment. That's how I do here on Geek Therapy Radio. DJI Drones. Specifically, that I, like many other drone enthusiasts, are just waiting patiently for the next DJI Mini. So there was the DJI Mini, DJI Mini 2, DJI Mini SE, which to date, even though I recently broke my camera on mine, and it's almost impossibly small to repair, and I can't find new parts for it. And even if there are new parts for it, like getting a new camera off of DJI Mini, whatever, it's kind of like it's over half the cost of the drone itself. So I'm kind of sitting here with a broken DJI Mini SE. I was flying it indoors, and it crashed into a wall lightly and then kind of tumbled down, and that was kind of it for the camera. The drone itself is fine; it flies, the body's fine, but the camera is shot, and without the camera, there's kind of no point to flying a photography drone around. But the DJI Mini SE was, and still is currently, my favorite DJI drone. I've had a few, I still have all my DJI drones. My first drone was the Phantom 2 or Phantom 3 Platinum. Crashed that into a skyscraper. I've got that video, I think, somewhere on my YouTube. So I crashed that, so the camera's gone on that one. The body still flies. The Mini SE that I have, I crashed, the camera doesn't work, body still works great. If you want to buy any of these off of me, let me know. Just get in touch with me, Johnny@geektherapyradio.com, or just go straight up to geektherapyradio.com. If you're good at working on drones, I'll sell you the bodies and the controllers and all the parts for it for cheap. Like I said, my Phantom 3 and my Mini SE, they both still fly. It's just the cameras are messed up. Maybe you could repair them. Who knows? If you want to buy them off me for cheap, let me know. So I have the Phantom 3, currently not, the camera's busted. I've got the Mini SE, currently broken. Mini SE is my favorite DJI drone so far that I've ever had. And I'll explain why in a minute, and why it parlays into my excitement for the DJI Mini 3 coming out soon. And I also have my go-to drone, my higher-end drone that I've had for a few years, the DJI Mavic Pro. It's not the Mavic Pro 2. It's not the newest Mavic Pro 3, which costs over $2,000. It's not that. I have the original first generation DJI Mavic Pro, and it's still a wonderful, wonderful drone. I don't think I've ever crashed it. There's something about, dropping around $1,000 at the time on a drone, which makes you a little extra careful. One of the reasons why, and this is a good segue into why I love the Mini SE and why I'm excited about the Mini 3. But with the Mini SE specifically, one of my favorite things about it was that it was quote unquote cheap. It's $300 right out the door off of Amazon. I think Amazon still has the special going on where you can pay for it like $60 a month for 5 months or whatever. It is the best value in drones around as far as I'm concerned. I love the Mini SE. And one reason I liked it, it was $300. So when I crashed and broke it, it didn't create that lump in my heart when I crashed my Phantom 3. That thing was like $1,500. It was a gift, but still, like, when that thing crashed, I got a pit in my heart. $1,500 dropping out of the sky. It's a sucky feeling. $300, while it's still a lot of money, is way easier to move on from than $1,500. And that there's many other features of the Mini SE that I love, price being one of them. But let's talk more about drones in the Mini SE and the upcoming Mini 3 when we come back. And let's talk about the Matrice 30 series. Woo-wee! More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger. And of course, the conversation from the previous segment is spilling over into the second segment. And we are talking about drones. And I was wrapping up the last segment with the cliffhanger on why I love the Mini SE. I meant the DJI Mini SE and why I would recommend that to any human being out there listening right now. No, DJI is not paying me. This is absolutely not any sort of sponsored content. I broke my Mini SE, so I'll tell you right off the bat that it's not the most robust drone, and that's kind of one of the drawbacks to creating drones under the magical 250 grams. The Mini SE is 249 grams because under that weight, it bypasses a lot of kind of FAA restrictions and travel restrictions and zone restrictions to have a drone that's under 250 grams, which is why DJI and other companies offer drones that are 249 grams, including the battery. But one of the drawbacks, one of the caveats with that, cons, is that these are not very sturdy drones. Specifically the Mini SE, while it is a magnificent drone I'd recommend to anybody, the plastic shell, the body of it's very thin. The motors seem fine. Everything seems fine. It's like I said, I've crashed it and it still flies. Even though the body's cracked and everything, it still flies just fine. The shell is cracked. Obviously, the gimbal sheared because the gimbal's all made out of plastic to meet weight. So you're not going to be crashing the Mini SE and getting away with it a lot. I have crashed it a few times before the final one did it in. Just got lucky the first few crashes. But yeah, to meet that kind of sub 250 gram weight limit, there have to be some restrictions, and one of them is that the body of it is just not very robust. So the Mini SE is, even though it's broken, it's my current favorite drone that DJI offers. I have not flown the new Mavic 3. I have not flown the new Matrice 30 series, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But of the drones I've owned, the Phantom, my current Mavic, which still works just fine, and the Mini SE was my favorite, and it has me excited for the Mini 3 that should be coming out. They're rumored to be coming out, rumored to be announced at least, in April. So by the time you're listening to this, in just a few days, within the next 30 days or so, we might see an announcement from DJI announcing the DJI Mini 3. That has me very excited. So one of the reasons why I love the Mini SE, which is $300, it's entry level for a very, very good photography drone, and the videos and photos that it takes are wonderful for what it is. You don't have all of the kind of professional level settings in the DJI Mini SE that you have in, say, something more flagship like the Phantoms or the Mavics or the Inspires or anything like that. But you do have some control in the Mini SE's camera in that it's 2.7K. That's great. It's up to 2.7K, 24 frames a second. I think it's only 24 frames, not 30 at 2.7K. Either way, a lot of resolution. You do have control over things like ISO, exposure, shutter. You have those types of controls, which come in very handy, obviously. But you don't have any kind of control over profiles or setting contrast or sharpness or saturation, anything like that. You can't get any sort of log profiles. You can't get any like CineStyle D, CineStyle L, CineStyle C, whatever. And the D, so when you see like CineStyle D, that stands for dynamic range. CineStyle C, if you ever see that, stands for like contrast. Usually what I shoot at, let's just use my Mavic Pro for example here. I shoot in Cinelike D, which offers the most dynamic range out of the sensor. And I also keep the sharpness at +1. And the reason why I do that, because you've seen it back and forth, especially with the Mavic Pro, from 2015 or whatever, that the sharpness enables and disables the noise reduction in camera. So to disable noise reduction in camera, you got to keep the Mavic at +1 sharpness. If you go down to 0 or -1 sharpness or lower, it disables or it enables the noise reduction, which means that if you're looking at a tree, like let's say you're up in the air, which obviously you probably are using a drone for videography and photography. If you're up in the air and you're looking at a tree 100 feet below you or in the distance, it's not with the sharpness set to -1, you aren't going to make out the leaves very clearly. It's going to add this noise reduction, which to kind of these contrasty faraway shots of leaves on a tree with a lot of green and a lot of shadow and everything like that, it makes the tree look blah, just a blurb of digital kind of noise reduction. But you set it to +1, the sharpness to +1, and it gets rid of that noise reduction. Everything is nice and crisp. And if you want to soften up the image, you can always do that later in your video editing software. You can also choose to record videos in MP4 or MOV. MOV is a little bit better for video editing, although more video editors now can operate MP4 natively. But just to be sure, I always shoot in MOV because that's what most video editors still like the best. So blah-blah-blah. With flaggity ship drones, you can alter these kind of settings for more professional applications. I like to make videos for the museum's channel and my own channel, so I like to have that freedom to kind of color grade a little better and manipulate the image afterwards a little better. Versus the Mini SE and kind of more consumer beginner drones don't allow you that kind of finessing of video settings in so far as you can't adjust contrast in the drone, you can't adjust sharpness in the drone. It just is whatever it gives you. But the footage coming out of the Mini SE looks great and is very usable right out of the drone, right off the SD card. So yeah, you can't adjust a whole lot of professional level settings with a $300 Mini SE drone, but the video coming out of it's really good anyways. Very usable. So I have no reservations flying a Mini SE around and using that footage out of the drone. The biggest reason why I love the Mini SE and the Mini series of DJI drones under 250 grams is the improved portability versus the Mavic that I have and other bigger drones, in that you can also charge the Mini series and some other series of DJI drones via USB Type-C. So you can charge the drone with your phone charger. That is a huge godsend when you're out and about and you want to throw the drone up quickly, and then you get the footage you want and you want to put it back and have it charging quickly. It's charging right off the cigarette lighter of your car. Oh, can I not say cigarette lighter anymore? I meant the 12 volt outlet of your car and the 12 volt adapter charging your phone at 5 volts or whatever. With the mini series of DJI drones, so the Mini SE and onward, you can use the same charger for your phone to charge your drone. And the reason why that's a boon, why that's great, is that as good as the Mavic is, the bigger drones, they have proprietary charging. So the batteries come off. The batteries are proprietary in any drone you get. But you can keep the battery in the DJI Mini series and just plug a USB-C cable right to the butt of the drone and be charging the battery up within the drone itself, in the drone. With the more flagship models of drone, I think the Mavic 3 now does allow Type-C charging if you have power delivery PD Type-C, meaning you can charge it at 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, 20 volts coming out of Type-C. So if you have like a MacBook Pro or a tablet, that's usually charging at like PD, power delivery. So if you check your wall wart and you see the output, it'll say 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, 20 volts at various amps. You can charge the Mavic 3, I believe, over Type-C with power delivery, like 45 watts, 65 watts, whatever. But being able to charge Type-C is one of the reasons I love the mini series of DJI drones so much. They're small, they're lightweight, I can circumvent a lot of FAA restrictions. There are still zones that are blocked out, of course, for any drone, near airports and such. But it's so convenient just to be able to plug it into a phone charger and go and not worry about it. More Geek Therapy Radio, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've still got your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger, staying in my lane here, talking about geek stuff. Not getting so butthurt about other media outlets. I'm not even going to start on that. Just welcome to Geek Therapy Radio, staying in my lane edition. I guess we're talking about drones for this episode. Unless I get off on some other side tangent, which I often do here. But let's keep talking about drones. I ended the last segment talking about how I love the DJI Mini series of drones, in that you can charge it with Type-C, like phone chargers. You don't have to bring any extra cables. So with my current Mavic and the Phantom and other bigger drones that don't support in-body Type-C charging, that means that when I go out to a video shoot or whatever, I need to be deliberate, and it needs to necessitate the use of a more professional drone. Because when I bring out the Mavic, yes, the Mavic folds up and it goes in the backpack, and it's great in that regard. But to charge the drone, you have to take the battery off the back of the drone, plug it into a proprietary cable, and plug it into a 120 volt outlet or a 12 volt car outlet. There's so much more to bring. It's a big power brick you have to bring with you, with extra cables and things just to keep the drone charged and extra batteries charged, versus the mini series of DJI drones, which allows you to just plug charge the battery in the body of the drone via Type-C cable. You never have to take the battery out of the drone. It's just keep it on your car seat or keep it in your backpack. Oh, I want to get some great footage of that. Take it out, fly the drone up. You fly around for darn near 30 minutes with the DJI Mini series of drones. It's a lot of flight time. And then you land the drone, and now you're not worrying about, okay, now I need to find the proprietary charging brick. I need to take the battery out of the drone. I need to hook it up to this external charger, da-da-da. No, with the Mini series, you just get the drone out of the sky, turn it off, put it in your car seat, plug it right into your car phone charger. Or if you have like a battery bank in your backpack, just a Type-C power bank, USB power bank, just plug it in with a power bank and keep going. It's wonderfully convenient in that regard. So like I said, with a more professional drone like the Mavic, and my first generation Mavic specifically, I need to be deliberate. I need to know that what the content we're creating needs these kind of more professional features that the mini series of DJI drone doesn't have, the Mini SE specifically. But again, DJI Mini SE, the footage you get right out of the drone, 2.7K, is wonderful. It doesn't need any for most applications. If you're just making TikTok videos or uploading YouTube videos of random stuff, the footage coming out is amazing. And you can actually go to my YouTube channel. Here's an awesome segue to a plug. Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. Again, red, white, and black color scheme is what you're looking for. If it doesn't just automatically pop up first. I went out a couple months ago and did a kind of a demo with the DJI Mini SE in the park near my home. And that footage is not color graded very much. There's really not a whole lot of processing I've done to the video. So what you're looking at is essentially just what's coming out of the camera. I think it's just 1080p also. Anyways, you can get an idea of what the DJI Mini SE footage looks like by going to Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube and seeing that video. I think it's called McNaughton Park. It's up here in Missouri City. So anyways, you can see what the Mini SE looks like. Not just my video, but type in DJI Mini SE into YouTube and you'll see a lot of test footage, a lot of example footage. So let's move on specifically now to why I'm so excited about the upcoming DJI Mini 3, which, according to rumors, and I have every reason to believe this, that we're going to see soon, announced soon as April. First, we're going to speculate on the price. The DJI Mini SE, which is a very beginner-friendly entry-level photography drone, videography drone, my favorite DJI drone so far, it's $300. And the way DJI launched that is that they really didn't announce any launch. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing Twitter here's Mini SEs in North America just on the shelf at Walmart. No announcement from DJI at all, just okay, here they are on the shelf. They didn't even mention it. So I think the Mini 3 is going to be a little bit more fanfare than that. I think we will see an official announcement from DJI about the Mini 3, but I still wouldn't be surprised if we don't. The Mini 3 is not just kind of an entry-level drone. It is and it isn't. I speculate the price of the Mini 3, if it's not called the Mini 3 Pro, or maybe have two variants of the Mini 3, it's still going to be under 250 grams. We'll get into some specs in a minute. But I think my personal ballpark is that it's going to be around $500 or so. Which will be a great value. If you're listening right now and you don't know much about drones, a drone with as much technology as the Mini 3, under 250 grams, is supposed to have packed in it for around $500. That's a really, 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 really good price point. And it doesn't cannibalize any of their other offerings, really. It's not going to cannibalize their DJI Air series. It's not going to cannibalize the Mini SE. It might make the Mini 2 go down in price a little bit, but so you have the Mini SE, which I don't think they're getting rid of. They might upgrade the Mini SE a little bit, but the price I think is going to stay the same, if not maybe go a little lower, which I doubt. But anyways, around $300. It's going to stay $299 for the Mini SE. Then you're going to have the Mini 3, which is going to be around $500 to $550 is my speculation. Anything more than that, and it starts getting you're pricing it more kind of prosumer level. So I think right around the $500 mark, $450 to $550 is where I'm going to put the Mini 3. And then you're going to have all your flagship drones, the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Pro Syn, and then the Matrice 30 series for first responders that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But yeah, Mini 3, DJI Mini 3, I expect it to come out or be announced at least in April, and I think it's going to be around $300. That is my guess, and it's not just my guess. There's a lot of people speculating. There's a lot of leaks and rumors going around from credible sources that it's going to be around $500. All right, so here is the rumored spec list for the DJI Mini 3 drone. It could have, and it likely will have all these things. Maybe some things it might not have, but I think we're going to get most of what I'm about to announce here. It's going to have a 1 1/3 inch CMOS sensor, so a much bigger camera in the Mini SE. It's going to have an f1.7 aperture, which is going to let in a lot of light, so the low light performance on the bigger sensor is going to be amazing compared to the Mini 2 and the Mini SE. It's going to have, hopefully, a gimbal. I'm reading this from, where am I reading this? DroneDJ.com. A gimbal tilted at a large angle, allowing you to shoot upwards. The Mini SE could do that, I think. Could the Mini SE do that? I think it could. I know my Mavic can. You can shoot like 20 degrees above the drone. Some people don't like to do that. They don't really trust that because you can't really see what's underneath you when you go into that kind of mode. But it's nice to have, and I think that the DJI Mini 3 is going to have it. So a gimbal that's able to tilt, upwards. A camera supporting vertical mode, which is for TikTok. I think it's going to have a camera mode that supports vertical TikTok videos. Ew, I hate vertical filming, but I understand if you're just trying to throw things up to TikTok. And the DJI app, even now, the multiple DJI apps for drones allow for easy sharing to social media platforms. So vertical camera mode, vertical filming mode, I think is not out of the question at all. 3-directional obstacle avoidance. So I'm going to assume front, back, and underneath obstacle avoidance. I don't think it's going to have side-to-side obstacle avoidance, but I think it's going to have forward obstacle avoidance, rear, like backing up obstacle avoidance, and then underneath, looking downward obstacle avoidance. So you don't land in a bush or land in something like you shouldn't be, or crashing into things forward or behind you. I don't think it's going to have upward obstacle avoidance. I don't think it's going to have side-to-side obstacle avoidance. That's a lot of sensors. Remember, all of these features are going to be included in a drone that's still under 250 grams. I think the shell, the plastic of this thing, is going to be like tinfoil. How can you fit all these sensors and things in there and keep it under 250 grams without cutting weight somewhere else? The next thing, my biggest want for an out-of-the-box mini drone is active track. Now, active track allows you to, for those uninitiated, you basically see yourself in the drone or a car or a dog or something in the drone's camera. You just tap on it and it recognizes that it's a car or a dog or a person or some sort of contrasty shape. And then the drone will just keep the camera on it. Wherever that thing goes, it'll active track. Drones need obstacle avoidance, though, really, for active track. You don't want to be actively tracking something and it actively tracks you into a tree or into a wall. There are ways to circumvent this. The APK for DJI has been released, and you've been able to enable active track on like the Mini SE, even without obstacle avoidance. You don't really want to do that. And by APK, I mean SDK, which stands for Software Development Kit. Anyways, more geek therapy. Don't go anywhere. My goodness, am I talking fast in this episode? There's just so much information to get out there about drones today and the Mini 3 and everything. We haven't even talked about the Matrice 30 series yet. Okay, so the last two hopeful spec features. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio, by the way, if I haven't already mentioned that in this segment. You got your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger. The last two kind of specs and features that we're looking for in the new Mini 3, DJI Mini 3 drone that's going to hopefully be announced, if not released, in April of 2022, is the O3 transmission system and a new remote control with a built-in screen. So that last point is a big one, and I'll get to that in a second. The O3 transmission system, basically what you need to know is that your drone can fly further and transmit video further. I think the Mini SE could, 6 kilometers? I think that was the range, line of sight. Like if you're in a cornfield, the official spec was it 10 kilometers? 3-4 miles at max. I'm talking line of sight. No radio towers around, no Wi-Fi signals from houses interfering, which is plenty. And I live in a very densely populated suburban area, and I can fly the Mini SE out. How is it? I think I've had it a kilometer away, and it's been fine. Line of sight. But yeah, you're in a densely populated area. With a kind of entry-level drone, don't expect more than sometimes like 1,000 feet. Sometimes 1,000 feet is hard. I mean, especially if you're getting trees between you and houses between you, especially everybody and their grandmother's smartphone signals going off and modem and routers putting off signals. 1,000 feet in a densely populated area for an entry-level like DJI Mini SE is about what you can expect. That's all you need anyways. If you're in a densely populated area with a lot of buildings around, you shouldn't be flying that far away anyways, losing sight of the drone. So anyways, Mini 3, hopefully having this 03 transmission system means that I would say the spec is going to be between 10 and 20 kilometers of range, line of sight. 12 and 20, maybe even higher than that. Who knows? A few miles. Like if you're just out in the middle of the desert and you're flying your drone away over the Grand Canyon, you can probably get that sucker 2 or 3 miles, maybe even 4 miles out. Let me just say on that regard, like 3 to 4 miles out, you better be darn sure you can get your drone back. Yes, you can theoretically fly your drone a few miles away, but even with no wind, you got to be able to get back to where you took off from. You got to be able to get back to you. So if you're flying out into a headwind, like if you're flying away into a headwind, I would say that's a little bit better. That's probably more desirable if you're flying a drone in windy conditions, is to fly it into the headwind so that you know you have the help of a tailwind coming back. If your battery starts getting low, you really shouldn't be flying a drone out in heavy wind anyways, unless it's a drone specifically designed for a lot of wind. In a mini series of DJI drones, a 249 gram drone, I'll tell you right now, is not designed for heavy winds. It has no problem in light winds. I've had no problem with my DJI Mini SE in light winds, but if it's a little bit more breezy, I'll use my Mavic. It's a little more heavy duty drone to cut through the wind, and even then, the rule of thumb, and it's like any sort of aviation, is if you're feeling a little doubts in your stomach about, hey, these conditions just aren't great they don't feel right for flying a drone around or flying an airplane, you shouldn't do it. So anyways, if you're going to be able to fly out a long distance with this 03 transmission system, which is just going to allow a lot more range out of this Mini 3, be sure you can get the drone back. Now, the final spec here that bears more conversation is we're hopeful to see a new remote controller with a built-in screen. I would love that. It's cool, but also annoying to have to use your own smartphone, to tether your smartphone to a drone controller to be able to use your phone as the screen. It's a cost-saving thing. It's a convenience thing because you have your phone in your pocket and just, pop it in there and you're good to go. I get that part, and it is cool. I really want to see the Mini 3 have a controller with a built-in screen. That would be amazing. That it tethers to your phone for, GPS type data and other kind of cellular information and data, just tethered to your phone through Wi-Fi or tethered to a Bluetooth 5.0 or whatever you need. But it's a hassle to be able to plug in your phone to an existing drone remote controller. So if the new Mini 3 has a remote control with a built-in screen, awesome. I am 100% on board for that. My only kind of concern here, though, is that I don't see how you can, at that point, you remember how I estimated the price is going to be between $450, $550 for the Mini 3? If it comes with a new remote with a built-in screen, I think it's going to be $550 all day long. I would be happy to be wrong. I would be thrilled if the Mini 3 comes with a controller with a built-in screen for at or under $500. I just don't see how it's possible. Like, you can get DJI smart controllers and stuff with built-in screens. They are extremely expensive. They're almost the cost of another drone. So I don't see how it has a built-in screen, but can keep the price point much below $550. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they've been able to source and supply like a good but cheap enough panel in this current kind of supply chain market and inflation and all that kind of stuff, if they're able to put a screen built into the controller, what a godsend that would be. How easy would that be? You could charge the screen with USB Type-C, or the controller with Type-C. You can charge the drone with Type-C. It would just be awesome, awesome, awesome. I am stoked for the Mini 3. I am crossing my fingers that the remote control has a built-in screen, but I will not be surprised in the slightest if it doesn't. Anyways, that's all the specs and rumors about the DJI Mini 3 that is theoretically going to come out in April of 2022. That's what we're waiting for. Will there be a DJI Mini 3 Pro model? If there's a DJI Mini 3 Pro model, that's the one I think that would definitely come with the remote control with a built-in screen. If they come out with two variants, which it's not unlike DJI to do, if they have the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 3 is just going to have a normal controller that you plug your phone into. The Mini 3 Pro is going to have a built-in screen, and I think it's going to have more video options. I think the Mini 3 Pro, if it does exist, if it comes out alongside a Mini 3, is going to have a little bit more professional videography and photography functions. I don't think you're going to shoot in RAW or anything like that, but I think you're going to have more color profiles, and you're going to have more scene-like and dynamic range, and possibly more tweaks you can do to the signal and whatever with the Mini 3 Pro. But it's all speculation. It's all speculation. What we are pretty confident of, though, is that a Mini 3 is going to come out soon. And I am stoked, and that's one reason why I want to sell off some of my broken drones, is because I would love to have a Mini 3. Would love to have it. They just toss in the Mini series tosses in your backpack or your pocket so nicely. Charges from the same charger that your phone charges off of. It's just awesome. Whereas a bigger drone, you're kind of like, it's so much rigmarole to get it out. A Mini series drone, you toss it up way more often, you get greater footage more often because you're just more willing to fly it. It's easier to fly it. And so if the Mini 3 comes out with active tracking, no doubt in my mind that it'll have active track and obstacle avoidance. Everything else is just a plus. Bigger sensor, better low light performance, that's all just a plus in my book. I'm looking for that active track and obstacle avoidance. Anyways, thank you for listening to Geek Therapy Radio. You are worthy of love. I guess we'll talk about the bigger $10,000 to $15,000 Matrice 30 series later. It's kind of like a supercar where they're going to test bed a lot of stuff, and then that tech goes down to, more affordable drones. You are worthy of love. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later. If you'd like to sponsor Geek Therapy Radio, just go to geektherapyradio.com and let's talk.